Bucket List Life's mission is to help you get off the treadmill, stop Groundhog Days, hack your habits, and live a regret-free life. Because we know life's way too short not to live your bucket list life. So please welcome your host, Trav Bell, the Bucket List Guy.
Hey, bucket listers. Welcome to another episode of the Bucket List Life podcast. I'm so looking forward to this episode with Mr. Steve Sims. Wow, what a reputation he brings to this episode. I'll tell you what, I can't wait to dig into it. Talk about bios. This man right now has got one hell of a bio, and we'll dig into it. Hey, guys, real quick, before we do get started with Steve, if you are watching live, then feel free to comment. Feel free to come along the journey with us. Comment, like, share, all that good stuff, and just sit back and enjoy. We'll be online here for about 30, 45 minutes. Well, Steve's a speaker, and as a speaker to a speaker, we do like to speak. So who knows how long this will go? But please enjoy the journey, guys. Get involved. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Here we go, mate. Thanks so much for being on the show, Steve.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
And whereabouts in the world are you right now?
I'm in Los Angeles.
That is not a Los Angeles accent.
No. This is a true East London Brit.
Love it. How long have you lived in LA for?
I lived in America for 21 years, and I've lived in LA for something like about 15, 16 years of that.
Wow. Whereabouts in LA are you?
Just outside. I'm in the precocious area. I'm just by the water, so I'm just close to Malibu.
Oh, well, lardy freaking da.
Well, that's why I've got the accent, I've got to fit in, You got
to be different. Yeah, you got to be different to be an influencer. I love it, mate. Thanks so much for jumping on the show, mate. I'm really looking forward to this. Look, one question that I ask all of my guests when they jump on to the Bucket List Live podcast is, when we used to do this thing like travel, we used to fly in these things called planes, and because we haven't done a lot of it lately, especially over here in Australia.
Yeah.
But we fill in an incoming passenger card, and on that incoming passenger card, we have to fill in our occupation. So I want to know, mate, what do you put as your occupation now, and what did you used to put it as?
Do you know, the funny thing is, these are used. It's also like when you go to a networking event and they ask you to write your name on a badge, and then underneath it, put what you do. So I have to admit, from an early age of just being a prick, I actually like to put stupid things on there. So I will put things like petrol pump attendant or zookeeper or plumber. And I will just make this shit up. I just don't care. What is your occupation? Zookeeper. I specialize in pandas. I'll just make that crap up.
Yeah. But in America, mate, like adult film star, it doesn't bode well. The Americans are pretty serious over there, especially when you're going through LAX. And, I've tried to joke myself, and it's gone sideways. So I'm just like, business owner. But so you put zookeeper. What else have you put? This is great.
I put petrol pump attendant. My favorite one, and I use this more at networking events, because I personally, my definition of hell is a networking party where people have to go along and go, "Hi, my name's Julian. What's your name? What do you do? Give me a business card." Those things make me cringe. So if there's a event, usually, and you're a speaker, so you know this thing, you'll speak at an event, but the night before, they will make sure that all the speakers come to that networking event for like the VIP ticket holders. So people are saying to me, "Oh, are you here? Are you a speaker?" And I'm like, no, I'm not. And they're like, "What do you do?" And I say, "I'm a plumber. I'm a U-bend specialist." And that's what I tell them. I tell them I'm a U-bend specialist. I basically get rid of shit real fast. And when you start talking to them, you'll get two kinds of responses. One of them will find it funny and stay with you, and eventually you'll unleash that, I am a speaker. Yeah. Or the other one to be like, oh, that's fantastic. Have a good night.
Yeah.
And I think to myself,
I'm gonna go get a drink.
It worked then. I got rid of shit quickly. So that's the kind of stuff I do.
Oh my God. But you do get rid of people's shit quickly.
I do. I get rid of them.
You've been touted by Forbes Mag and Entrepreneur Magazine as the Wizard of Oz. What is that?
Well, I was very concerned when that came out because, let's be blunt, the guy's a little pervert behind a curtain that doesn't actually do anything. So when I literally got a phone call and someone said, Steve, Forbes have just called you the real life Wizard of Oz. And I had an 8-page article with some buddies and clients that looked very good. And, to name drop, it had, Elon Musk, Elton John, Richard Branson, and other people that I've worked with or that are friends or clients. And the article was really good, but this real life Wizard of Oz bothered me. Because the guy's a fraud. But basically, the way that they came about it was that I'm the guy that turns up, takes what you think you need, simsatizes the shit out of it, and then gives you back what really is going to make you fall over and make you amazed. So that's why they gave me that kind of moniker. I've also been called the real life Make-A-Wish Foundation for people with really big checkbooks.
Wow, mate. So what do you do? What do you do?
So
make shit happen. I know that. Make shit happen. What do you do?
That's actually there's 3 answers to that. Okay, so I'll try and make them as quick and as precise. As a bricklayer from London, I know what it was like to be poor. So what I did was, the first thing I wanted to do was change the room that I was in. I wanted to stop hanging around with broke-ass bikers because, hey, that's what I was. I knew what being broke was like, and it stinks. So the first thing I wanted to do was, I wanted to be in room with rich people. In order to be in a room with rich people, and quite openly to be able to go up to them and go, hey, Trav, you're successful. You're popular. You're doing really well. How come you're doing it and I'm not? What's the source? In order for me to be able to have that conversation with you, I had to turn up with value. Now, as a doorman of a nightclub, I knew where all the best nightclubs were. And I could get you in because I knew all the doormen. So it started off by me getting people into clubs or back doors or into private parties. Then I started throwing parties. And the whole goal was, this was my Trojan horse. Wow. I wanted a Rolodex of billionaires. And if I needed to be giving them something they wanted just to get them, that's what it was. So, but the requests went above, getting them into a nightclub. All of a sudden, they wanted to go to Formula One in Monaco with Ferrari, or they wanted to get a drum lesson with Guns N' Roses, or they wanted to get married in the Vatican by the Pope, or close a museum down in Florence for a dinner party at the feet of Michelangelo's David. And then I brought Andrea Bocelli in to serenade them during their meatballs. So
you actually now this is all shit you've done, yeah?
Oh yeah, that's the stuff I do. So I was the guy that really then just gave them their wildest fantasies. But you need to understand something. It wasn't because I really cared about the fantasy. I cared about the challenge. But I cared about the conversation more. I knew that if I got you to hang out with Elton John, I could have you for an afternoon and you would tell me why you're a billionaire and why I'm not. And then 3 years ago, I got asked to write this book, Bluefishing, The Art of Making Things Happen. I thought it would do okay. And I was a little bit bewildered and surprised by the fact that it's been translated into 9 different languages. It's been bestseller from everywhere from Vietnam to Poland. And it's just in the last 2 weeks been released in Russian. So now what I do is I coach people on how to think bigger, go for stupid. And I tell them what I learned from dealing with billionaires for 25 plus years.
I bloody love it. And where the names? I was going to go into the Bluefish Art of Making It Happen. Show us that book again, mate. Show us. And why'd you? What? And look, I could kind of guess. I love it. I'm going to have to get a copy too. So hook me up, man. Bluefish, what's the deal?
Look, the first thing you got to realize about me is that there's no intelligence here. Okay. If it ain't simple and stupid, then I don't play with it. I go for impact over fancy. And if you were working on a club and I was going to send some clients over to have you let them in as guests of mine, I'd give them a password. And so literally I made up all this stupid shit because I've always believed, and you could do this in business, if you control your front door and who comes into your party, you've removed 99% of your problems. Okay. So what I used to do was, if someone wasn't humble enough to have a little bit of a joke at the front door, I didn't want him in my club. So I used to say, hey, look, I can get you in a party. Go up, see Trav. And I would say to him, right, there's a secret password tonight. Name 2 of the Teletubbies. Just tell Trav 2 of the Teletubbies and they'll let you in. And I would phone you up ahead and go, look, you're going to get this guy turn up. Don't let him in unless he gives you like Tinky Winky Poe or something like that. Don't let him in. If he says, oh, I can't remember, tell him to cough, don't let him in. And one of the passwords that I ended up using a lot was, I was a great fan of Dr. Zeus. And I would say, right, you need to finish this sentence. 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish. So people would walk up to the door of this private party. They'd lean in and they'd go, bluefish. And they'd be like, in you go, mate. And that was it. So that was how the whole thing started. But then I got someone contact me, and I was in Hong Kong at the time. And they said, hey, are you that Bluefish company? And I was like, no. How do you? And they went, oh, we went to a party and my boyfriend got me in and he said Bluefish. So I thought, and I was like, oh, okay. So we literally became Bluefish because of that. And then because what we would always do was surprise people with fantastical things. And we would, you'd go to a party and all of a sudden I'd have trapeze artists over above your head, or I'd pull someone, I'd tell people where the party was and no one would be there apart from a bunch of buses, and you'd have to get on the bus and then I would take you to, so I was always surprising people. And they said to me, you bluefish things, and I went to a concert and I bluefished my way backstage and all of a sudden it became an adjective. And that's how bluefishing came about.
Well, here I was thinking that a bluefish is like a marlin, and you go for the big marlin, you're back of the boat, kind of thing, and you haul it in and blah, blah, blah. But nah, yours is a lot cooler.
Dr. Zeus.
I love David down there in Aruba, loving the content. And oh no, Anafi, mate, I could see you as an adult film star. All right, thanks, mate. Look, no. Maybe back in the day it would have been. No, I won't go there. Look, so you've worked with, when you say you worked with like Sir Elton John and Elon Musk and these sorts of people, in what capacity? Did you make stuff happen for them, or you involve them in deals for some of your clients?
Actually, a bit of both. And in the situation that you've just mentioned, and we can't go into too many details because of confidentiality, but a lot of my famous clients have come to me because they've gone, hey, I want to do this in Venice, but I don't want people to know I'm coming. Because if I tell you, and I'll use an example of someone that's not a client, Brad Pitt. If Brad Pitt books a hotel in Venice, before he gets there, Venice knows he's coming. Okay? So you get a lot of these people that hire me, and I will literally do the entire trip, the entire experience, close down museums, get private restaurants. I will do all of that stuff under a pseudonym. I will just make up a name. And the person that's letting my clients in won't know until it happens that it is someone to the status that you've mentioned. With Elton John, I ended up working with him as well on the Oscar party. So for 8 years, I worked for the Hollywood A-list Oscar party, getting everyone in from Miley Cyrus, Liam,
He's an Aussie, mate. Just take
that's
watch
why
it.
I tried mentioning his name. But I got it wrong. I got Hemsworth in there, and we had Tom Cruise. We had a whole bunch of people in there. That we would market it. So a lot of my business then turned into not only making these things happen, but helping other people market and brand them, and that's what I speak and coach on now.
And it wouldn't take long for that to catch fire as the guy that puts things together, the guy that can put the connections together.
Yeah, as I say, quite simply, 3 years ago, I was probably the most connected person that you'd never heard of.
Right.
I was literally just flying around with Saudi princes, royalty from England, billionaires from St. Petersburg, Russia, to Silicon Valley. No one knew who the hell I was. And the amount of times I would be at an event for my clients and their friends, would literally come up to me and give me their car keys thinking I'm like security or valet. They would have no idea who I am. And I'd be like, yes. And I didn't care. I really didn't care. But when the book came out, all of a sudden people had heard these stories and they've gone, hang on a minute. I heard about the Vatican thing. I heard about the academia. I heard about you with the rock band journey. I heard about you. That was you. And all of a sudden the cover was blown off and I became the guy that suddenly everyone knew was the guy that made things happen.
So you do a lot of interviews, Steve, and you do a lot of public speaking as well, keynote speaking as well, and coaching, etc. We'll get into that in a second. But when you do get interviewed, what's the most common question that you get asked? What are people most fascinated about?
So let's hit the most boring one first. Okay. Yeah. Steve, what's the most fantastical thing you've ever done? Yeah. What's fantastical to you may not be fantastical to the person listening. Okay.
Look, I run around as the bucket list guy. I've been doing that for about 10 years, mate. So please one up me. Go for it.
Well, I got a couple married in the Vatican by the Pope. So
by the actual Pope.
By the current Pope, yeah. So that's quite fantastical. But boy, what a headache that was to pull off.
He can be pretty moody, the Pope, I'd imagine.
You think there's red tape in government? You wait until you're dealing with the Vatican. Jesus, you have no idea.
How do you put that together? Jeez.
So, those are the kind of things that I do. But the things that I've really enjoyed haven't actually been the most expensive. And I've just got the kids to meet their favorite, teenage boy band or something. Or I've set up an anniversary party in a beautiful barn in the middle of Napa. So there's some of these kind of things that I like that I've ended up doing. But again, I'm not the guy that's actually enjoyed walking down the red carpet. And I've walked down the red carpet from Macau to Minneapolis. I've done, polo in Stade, and I've done Formula One racing in Monaco. That's not to show off, but that's to clearly state I'm a guy in a black t-shirt and jeans. If you Google search me, that's what you'll always see. I'm not the guy that gives a rat's ass about those events. I care about what was in it for you. Now, you're a bucket list guy, so I'm going to put on you for a second because I know you've got a good answer on this. How many people do these amazing, extraordinary adventures, experiences, and trips purely to show off to their buddies versus how many of them actually do it to satisfy a goal or a dream of theirs?
Well, for me, I'd like to think that most of my followers are heartfelt. They do it for them and their families. That's probably more the market of leading more of a meaningful, purposeful, fulfilled life, and to really cherish and be present to the experiences. But I'm sure the younger market would be all about ego, and I get it. I'm guilty of that as well, but now I don't give a shit.
That's the beauty of age, isn't it? When you get a little bit older and you get a bit more experienced,
It used to be more about me. Now it's about we. And that is a maturity thing, I hope. And there's elements of, I'd really like to do that because I want to be seen doing that. But I'd like to think that our market, the people that listen and watch this are more about, what they're doing for them and their families and for fulfillment, not
Good.
for ego.
Yeah. And that's great. That I'm proud of.
Well, it could be wrong.
The sad thing is I've worked with insecure billionaires that have literally wanted to do these things just so that they have a cool story to talk about when they're in Cipriani's in New York or they're in Venice. I've been amazed at how money doesn't define insecurity. And so that's why in the end, I kind of had this psychological education on how people perceive things. And I want you to do I want you to do an experience for your growth. I want you to travel to alter and challenge your perspective. But trust me, no one really cares about your stories. So do it for you.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I can't imagine any of my mates really giving a shit if I was on a private plane or getting on a private plane, going to some, I don't think anyone would really give a shit as long as I got there and safely. But I'd imagine that it'd be an interesting shift growing up where you grew up, coming to America, just like the movie Coming to America, and the difference in culture there.
Well, I went the long way round. We've skipped out a little bit on my life. I left England for a better life to challenge myself what I could do.
Right.
I got the chance of a stockbroking job in Hong Kong.
Wow.
So I landed in Hong Kong and I was fired after one day. Yeah. And so I went from England to Hong Kong. Then I went to Bangkok when they did the hand back to China. Then I went to Geneva. Then I went to Florida. And then I went to LA. So I've got 3 kids. One was born in Hong Kong. One was born in Switzerland. And one was born in America. So I love the challenge that it gives you of when you're in Saudi Arabia and what they believe there versus what they believe when they're in Spain versus what they believe in London, New York, Melbourne. Everyone's got a different perspective. And I love challenging myself to your perspective.
Yeah. So tell me, what's the mix right now? You're doing the speaking, the coaching, you're an author as well, versus, that stuff versus actually getting out there and helping people and being the connector for people. Is that not so much anymore, or is that the other stuff taking precedence?
After a while, again, understand, I always did it as a Trojan horse to have the conversation. While I'm not gonna joke, hanging out with Elton, John, Elon Musk, Richard Branson, the richest, most powerful people in the planet that you've never heard was fantastic, but it does wear you down after a while. Now what I'm doing,
how come?
You're constantly traveling. You may be dealing with someone that's really, really cool, Elton John. Okay, the guy could not be more grounded if he tried. Okay, he doesn't want photographs. He wants to have a chat with you. All you want to do is get a freaking camera in his face and take a selfie and then piss off. He doesn't want that, but that's what you want. So he gets aggravated. So you've got a really cool guy like him, and then a bunch of people around him that have got massive egos, and then a bunch of people that are blowing smoke up everyone's backside to try and pretend as though they're close friends. So after a while, that kind of wears you down. I haven't done any speaking during COVID for the obvious reason. Yeah. But a lot of the stuff now, my main income has probably shifted to retaining. I've still got about 20 billionaires that I still look after because I love them, and I always want to look after them because they're just champion. I will tell you that 2 of them are, within your top 10 list in Australia. And they are and if you're all listening, boys, you know exactly who you are. These are the greatest cats in the planet. And so I've been down to Sydney and Melbourne a few times with those boys. But so I've got 20 clients that I've retained. We had just over 90, and I scaled it down. So a good proportion of my business now is the coaching, is the marketing, is the media under Sims Media, and really getting solopreneurs and entrepreneurs to think differently.
I think that's fantastic. That's
what I'm into now.
Unique selling proposition for you, mate, because, you know, scarcity thinking versus abundance thinking is such a debilitator when you're an entrepreneur, right?
Oh, hell yeah. We put the parameters on ourselves.
Talk to me about that.
So let me help you people, okay? I noticed 3 things that separates the normal whiner to the successful person. Now, no, I said successful, not rich, okay?
Yeah.
There's very few people in the planet that are successfully poor, okay? Yeah. So if you've got the successful mindset, everything else comes along with it. But I noticed 3 traits that was common in every single one of the richest, most powerful people in the planet. Yeah. The first one is they value time more importantly than you do.
Wow.
So when they're having a conversation, they would have a conversation with you, Trav, and it would be like a kind of almost like an interview. They'd be like, hey, Trav, what are you working on at the moment? What impact are you trying to create from that? So how do you think that's going to work? Why do you think you're the person that can do it? And what is your end goal out of this? How can you pivot if this? You get those, it's beautiful, okay? But they want to deal with impactful people. You walk up to a successful person and go, hey, what are you watching on Netflix at the moment? End of conversation. Okay. So that's the first thing. They value spending their time with people that create impact rather than people that, you know, water cooler shit. That's the first thing.
Wow, cool.
Second thing is they recruit culture over people. Now, what I mean is when they look at someone, you may have Trav, you may have the perfect resume to be part of my business. You look good. You've got the resume. You've got the experience. You've got the credibility. But if we can't click together and we don't have the same values, the same work ethic, the same culture, no amount of the other stuff's going to get over that.
Wow.
Okay? So they recruit culture over people. That's the second thing. And the third thing, as entrepreneurs, and you know this, all of us do listening, the shit hits the fan. Stuff goes wrong. An entrepreneur, a successfully minded entrepreneur, when it goes wrong, they lean into the problem and they go, where did this go wrong? What happened here? The whiner is the one that leans back, puts their hands on their head and goes, oh my God, how did that happen? Oh, I'm going to go broke. I'm never going to do that. And they go and get a job at Starbucks. So the successful person leans into the problem because in that fuck up, in that mistake, that's where all the education is. That's where the gold is.
So good.
And that's the 3 things I know. And those are some of the things I teach my people now.
Unbelievable, mate. Valuing time. I love that. Getting to the reason why that, you know, another person's doing something, recruiting culture over people and learning and leaning into the problem. Magnificent stuff, mate. 3 massive lessons there. That's fantastic. Look, what's on your bucket list?
Do you know, I grew up just wanting to challenge myself. What was on my bucket list then was probably being able to buy a new motorcycle, you know, and things like that. I actually, we joke in my family that I actually have a life-threatening disease. I keep buying motorcycles and my wife keeps threatening my life. So I never thought I would actually play drums with Guns N' Roses. I never thought I would sing a duet with Andrea Bocelli at the feet of Michelangelo's David. I never thought I would meet the Pope. So all of these things that have happened have basically eroded any kind of bucket list I ever thought I would have. And so now what I do, my bucket list now is to get my clients to think differently, impact strongly, and creatively disrupt their industry. And that's what really gets me juiced up and aroused now.
Very, very cool. How many kids you got? Three.
I met my wife when she was 16 and I was 17. So we have traveled the planet. We've gone through living in like 1-bedroom shitty little lofts over a gas station to now living here quite nicely in Malibu.
Mate, you're in a tin shed. What do you got behind you there? You look like you're in a shit house.
So the funny thing is,
a really nice shit house in Malibu, right?
Yes, it's a really nice shit. I'm going to mess with you now here. The funny thing is, in the last house I was living in, I had these beautiful guy. We've got about 18 motorcycles. Okay, so I've got.
And how many asses have you got?
Yeah, exactly. Enough to ride them all, as my whiteboard would ask that. But I had a really nice garage with all of like the lifts and I used to do my podcast in there. And we moved into this house, and the house is an older house. So the house is being renovated. The last thing to be renovated is this garage. Now we've got two garages here. So what I did was I literally just grabbed some corrugated to throw it behind me as a backdrop. And that's the only reason it's there. Looks good though.
Well, it works. It works. Yeah. I mean, you've got the Sims distillery. Talk to me about that.
So that was a failure, that was a really good failure. A friend of mine convinced me to dissect my book and turn it into a course.
Right.
So we did that, and we put it up for sale, and it sold a lot, and I made a lot of money. And I thought to myself, hang on a minute. It's like me just like giving you a diet book and then going, well, off you go. Good luck.
Yeah.
There's no accountability. There's no conversation. So we cancelled it. And I said, I don't want this. I want an inner circle. So now what it is monthly, we have about 3 or 4 live AMAs, Ask Me Anything, AMA, with anyone that's a member of Sims Distillery. And you asked a question, and I'm going to bring one of my friend experts in to answer it. So now it's ongoing conversations. We record those conversations. We upload them into Sims Distillery. Any video, any tutorial. I did one a couple of days ago on the world of media and how to get media. We've uploaded that onto Sims Distillery. People have questions. They send me, and I'll do a follow-up AMA. So that's my inner circle for having a conversation with the community.
Cool. Mate, tell me, if someone says no to you, how do you navigate around that?
I don't. I shoot myself in the head. Here's the thing. If you get someone say no to you, there's only 2 reasons why. You asked the wrong person, or you asked the wrong question.
Interesting.
So if I said to you, Trav, do you want to have a beer with me tomorrow night? I am playing a 50-50 chance that I'm going to get the answer I want.
Yeah.
But if I said to you, hey, Trav, let's have a beer tomorrow night, would 7:30 be okay, or would you prefer 9 o'clock? I'm changing the question. You also want to always look at the person that you're asking. If I want to get in somewhere, just because the valet boy's outside, it's pointless me asking him because he doesn't have the authority or the ability to say yes. So in that situation, I'm asking the wrong person. So very, very early on, I learned the trick never to ask a question where I'm gambling with the answer. So I'm only going to ask a question that I'm going to get one of the answers that I'm accepting and that I like. So that's how it works. Never, if you get a no, you're asking the wrong person or the wrong question.
Very cool. And the second last one I've got for you is the coolest person you've met apart from Elton John.
Jean-Paul de Joria.
Who is that?
Jean-Paul de Joria was a broke-ass biker that used to live in a dry cleaners shop. He used to live in the dry cleaners. He went on to launch Paul Mitchell hair products and Patron. So tequila. So he's one of the richest guys in the planet. And he is so level-headed. Do you know the guy doesn't have an email? He says, if it's important enough, you'll phone me.
Wow.
Yep.
What are the traits, like you're talking about the billionaires, and this is not a planned question, but what are the traits, the most common traits of the billionaires that you've hung out with? I mean, you value time, recruit culture, lean into the problem. But anything else there? What are the common traits that you've let wash into your life?
Well, there was an old saying that if you can count your money, you're not rich. Okay, so there's an old saying about that. So what happens is, at the moment, there's a lot of people that are actually working very, very hard to make money. The objective is to increase their bank account. The visual is to see more digits in their account, a better car, a bigger house. So it's all money. It's all the bucks.
Yeah.
Okay. Successful people look on the impact. Now, I actually there's a video out there by Naveen Jan, who's a friend of mine, and he's a billionaire. And one of the Sims Distillery people said to me, I get intimidated about speaking to rich people. So I said, fine, let me get a billionaire and you can talk to him. Let's get that out of the way. So I got Naveen in, who's a billionaire, and he said to me, I never look at the money. I look at the problem I can solve. I know that if I can solve 1,000 people's problems, I'm going to be a millionaire. I know if I solve 1 million people's problems, I'm going to be a billionaire. Now, notice the way he says, I'm going to be. He doesn't focus. He just knows it's going to come.
As a result. Yeah.
If you jump in the water, you know you're going to get wet.
Yeah.
But people take the wrong focus. If you focus on the money, you don't have the time to focus on the impact. So they focus on the impact, knowing full well that that's going to happen.
Yeah. Absolutely awesome, man. And look, last question before we let people connect with you, mate. Imagine a stadium full of people, and at the front, and you've been in this situation, I'm sure already, out this front, you've got a raised stage and a big booming microphone where you can say and do whatever you want. What would you love to say, and who do you choose to be in the audience?
So, and you know this, you're going to know the answer to this, but you know how many speakers and coaches are actually introverted, okay? For me, I don't have a car. I have a motorcycle because I can't give you a lift. I can't answer the phone. I can't buy a cup of coffee. I can't pick up the groceries. So I'm in solitude, okay? I've been on the stage many times, 30 or 40 times, introducing my clients to do things, or I've introduced bands or so I've been up there for somebody else. If I was up there just for me to say something meaningful, to be honest with you, I think that would scare the shit out of me, because I wouldn't want to be there. Right. So I would probably just go, first round's on me, let's go to the pub. And then get the hell out of there, because I exit stage left. I want to do stuff where there's an end. For me to be on stage, and I'm a great player. I'm 55 years old. I don't know how many moons are left for me, so I'm not going to do anything if there isn't a point. If you said, "Hey, the stage you're talking about, Steve, is on behalf of a charity," hey, now I have a purpose. If you said, hey, the stage you're up there is to raise education for entrepreneurs to risk more, hey, there's a purpose. But for me to go up there and be a glory hound just to get a photograph of me up on stage, find someone else.
Yeah. What? That's one hell of an answer. Love it. What is your attitude? Just quickly, what's your attitude around risk?
It's life. You have to risk. Now, here's the dumb thing.
Are you a big or a small risk taker, or where are you on the scale, on a scale of 1 to 10?
If I haven't failed this week, then I haven't tried. So if there's, if there's a 1 to 10, then I'm jumping in at a 12. The daft thing is, people here, when you're a risk taker, that means you're risking your house. Yeah. You don't have to do that. When you change the perspective, for argument's sake, if you go to work and you always turn right at the bottom of your driveway, the next time you go to work, turn left. Train your mind to do things differently. When you go and have sushi tonight, don't pick the stuff you always pick. Pick something that you can't even spell and try that. Try and train your mind to do things differently. Take small, low liability risks, and then your mind will be taught. You'll get muscle memory, and it will go, okay, we're open to different things now. And all of a sudden, you'll find, now for every 5 things you try, you're going to screw up 4 of them. Yeah. But like everything, it doesn't matter how many times you fail. You've only got to get it right once, and you've got a house on the beach.
There he is. That is perfect. That is the mic drop moment right there, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. Mate, look, so I could talk to you for ages. Look, this is your website, stevedsims.com. Is that correct, mate?
Yeah, like if you just Google Steve D. Sims, you'll find me on everything from Instagram, Facebook. I have a free Facebook group called An Entrepreneur's Advantage with Steve Sims, but you can find everything there.
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, Steve, thanks so much for being a guest, mate. I definitely feel like there's going to be a round 2 somewhere, just to get the update. I absolutely love it, guys. Some absolute wisdom there from Steve. Please, as you know, subscribe, review, comment, share, get involved, follow Steve. Follow what we're doing here on the Bucket List Life podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, mate. Thanks so much once again. And guys, until next time, thanks a lot for tuning in to the Bucket List Life podcast.
Thanks so much for listening to the Bucket List Life podcast with the world's #1 bucket list expert, Trav Bell. For more great content, go to www.thebucketlistguy.com.